Have you ever heard of a jellyfish that can turn back into its younger self, as if time briefly runs in reverse, and it happens right here on Earth? Not in a movie, not in a myth, but in real seawater, inside a real living body. And if a creature like that exists in our oceans, what else is hiding in plain sight, quietly astonishing, quietly true, and strangely soothing to think about? Welcome to Facts for Sleep. Tonight, we are staying grounded on Earth, but we are going to drift through its calmest, most mind-softening wonders. You will hear about forests that behave less like separate trees and more like a single connected community, linked by underground fungal networks that can share nutrients and send warnings. You will float beside glowing shorelines where bioluminescent plankton can flash like cold starlight in a breaking wave. You will meet tiny survivors like tardigrades that can endure extreme conditions by slipping into a near-still state, and you will wander through the slow, comforting rhythms of our planet, from the carbon cycle that quietly breathes through air and ocean, to the patient geology that reshapes Earth without ever rushing. Throughout the video, a gentle 432 Hz background tone will play to create a peaceful atmosphere while these stories unfold. You do not need to stay focused on every detail. You do not need to remember names or numbers. Let the facts arrive softly, like distant rain, and if your mind begins to drift, that is part of the design. This is science you can fall asleep to, where curiosity stays warm while your body relaxes. A small note before we begin. The visuals you see in this video are created with artificial intelligence, used to help bring these ideas to life and make the science easier to picture. They are included for educational purposes, with the goal of making the experience more clear, more calming, and more immersive. And if this is your first time here on Facts for Sleep, please consider subscribing to support the channel. It helps more sleepy minds find their way here, one quiet night at a time. Thank you for being here. Take a slow breath in and an even slower breath out. Now, let's begin. In warm coastal waters and in oceans far beyond them, there is a tiny jellyfish called Turritopsis dohrnii. Many people know it by a nickname, the immortal jellyfish, not because it cannot be killed, but because it can reverse its own development. When it is injured or stressed or old, it can transform from its adult form back into a juvenile stage, returning to a polyp like returning to childhood. In laboratories, scientists have watched this happen more than once, a looping of the life cycle that feels like time being folded and refolded. It is not eternal life the way we imagine it, but it is a reminder that nature does not always follow the stories we expect. Sometimes biology keeps a quiet door open, a way back, a way to begin again. And once you know one creature can do that, you start to wonder what else is happening just beneath the surface of ordinary life. If you step into a forest, for example, it may look like a collection of separate trees, trunks spaced apart, crowns reaching upward, each one minding its own business. But beneath your feet, something else is going on. Many forests are threaded together by networks of fungi called mycorrhizae, which form partnerships with roots. These fungal filaments can connect one tree to another, moving water and nutrients through the soil like a hidden circulation system. Trees can share resources, and they can also pass chemical signals, including warnings about pests or drought. Some researchers describe older, well-established trees as mother trees because they can support young seedlings nearby, especially their own offspring, through these underground connections. It is not a fairy tale. It is biology, slow and steady, built from threads so thin you could miss them entirely. The forest, in a sense, becomes a community, not a crowd. And if forests can be linked by something invisible, it makes it easier to believe that other small, hidden beings might be capable of surprising strength. There is a creature smaller than a grain of sand that can survive conditions that would destroy almost anything else. It is called a tardigrade, and many people call it a water bear because under a microscope it looks like a tiny wrinkled animal with stubby legs. Tardigrades live in moss, in soil, in fresh water, in the edges of damp places where life can be both fragile and stubborn. And when conditions turn harsh, they can enter a state called cryptobiosis. In that state, they lose most of their water, their metabolism becomes almost undetectable, and they can endure extremes of cold, heat, radiation, and pressure. In 2007, tardigrades were exposed to the vacuum of space in orbit, and some survived. It is not magic, it is chemistry and structure and evolutionary luck. They do not conquer space, they simply wait it out. They remind us that resilience does not always look like strength. Sometimes it looks like stillness, like patience, like a tiny life folded into itself until the world becomes kind again. Long before animals walked on land, long before forests softened the edges of continents, Earth's air itself went through a transformation that changed the fate of life. Today, we treat oxygen as a symbol of health, as something clean and life-giving. But early Earth was different. For a long time, many microbes lived without oxygen, using anaerobic metabolisms that worked in an atmosphere unlike the one we know. Then cyanobacteria, tiny photosynthetic organisms, began releasing oxygen as a byproduct. At first, the oxygen reacted with minerals and dissolved in the oceans, but over immense spans of time, it accumulated, and the planet experienced what we call the Great Oxidation Event. For many anaerobic organisms, oxygen was toxic. It disrupted their chemistry and contributed to widespread die-offs. And yet, for other forms of life, oxygen opened a new path, because using oxygen can yield far more energy. In that slow planetary shift, catastrophe and opportunity arrived together. And now, every quiet breath you take carries a history older than bones, older than trees, written into the air itself. When we think of plants, we often imagine them as passive, rooted, and gentle. But some plants have become hunters. Carnivorous plants live in places where the soil is poor, especially low in nitrogen, and so they adapted in a way that feels almost animal-like. Venus flytraps, pitcher plants, and sundews lure insects with scent, nectar, or bright color. The Venus flytrap does something particularly precise. It does not close at the first touch. It requires multiple triggers within a short window, a simple way to reduce false alarms from raindrops or falling debris. Pitcher plants build deep, slippery cups filled with fluid and enzymes, turning an insect's mistake into a meal. Sundews glisten with sticky droplets and curl slowly around prey, as if the plant is taking its time, because it can. It is not cruelty. It is survival expressed through design. And if a plant can be patient and clever in the way it feeds, it becomes easier to see that even a simple leaf might hold more sophistication than we give it credit for. Hold a leaf up to the light and you can see part of its secret architecture. Veins spread through it like branching rivers, delivering water and minerals and carrying sugars produced during photosynthesis. On the surface are stomata, tiny pores that open and close, balancing the need to take in carbon dioxide with the need to avoid losing too much water. Inside, chlorophyll captures sunlight and helps convert that energy into chemical fuel. Leaves are thin because they are built for exchange, for catching light, for trading gases, for moving water in delicate ways. Some leaves are coated with waxy structures that repel water. Some are shaped to funnel rain toward roots. Some track the sun through the day. No two leaves are truly identical, and their patterns can be as individual as a signature. A leaf is soft enough to tear, and yet it is also an engineering marvel, quietly working while the world sleeps. And sometimes when the world sleeps, the ocean glows. Along certain coastlines, if you walk near the water at night, you might see the waves flash with blue-green light. This is bioluminescence, and it can be caused by tiny plankton, such as dinoflagellates, that emit light when disturbed. A wave breaks, a footstep splashes, a boat slices through dark water, and suddenly the sea answers with cold fire. Places like Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico are famous for this, but glowing water can appear in many regions when conditions are right. The light is produced by a chemical reaction inside living cells. It is not reflected moonlight, and it is not electricity. It is biology. In the ocean, bioluminescence has evolved many times, used for defense, communication, attraction, and camouflage. In the dark, life has learned to speak in flashes, and if that is true in the sea, it makes you wonder what hidden communities might be living in and on your own body, glowing in ways you cannot see. You feel like one person, one body, one self, but you are also a habitat. Trillions of microbes live on your skin, in your mouth, and especially in your gut. This collection is called your microbiome. Scientists used to describe humans as being outnumbered by microbial cells, and newer estimates suggest the numbers are closer than we once thought, on the same order of magnitude. Either way, the point remains gentle and strange. You are not alone inside yourself. These microbes help break down food, produce certain vitamins, train your immune system, and interact with the chemistry that influences mood and inflammation. Some protect you by competing with harmful invaders. Some simply live alongside you as quiet passengers. Your microbiome is unique, shaped by your environment, your diet, your history. So if you ever feel alone, you can remember something tender and true. Even in solitude, you are a small ecosystem, a walking landscape of life. In the forests of South America, there is a kind of intelligence that does not belong to any single brain. Army ants travel in massive moving swarms, flowing over the ground like a living current. When they reach a gap, they do not stop to debate. They begin to build. Ants link their bodies together, anchoring to branches and to one another, forming living bridges that other ants can cross. The structure adjusts as traffic changes. If too many ants are tied up in the bridge, the colony loses efficiency and the bridge can shorten itself. If the gap is wide, the bridge can extend. No single ant understands the whole plan. The pattern emerges from local rules and constant feedback. It is collective problem solving, built from touch and instinct, a structure made entirely of life that appears, serves its purpose, and then dissolves back into the moving swarm. Deep beneath the ocean surface, another animal carries a different kind of flexibility. Octopuses are already famous for intelligence, curiosity, and camouflage, but they also do something rare in the animal world. They can edit their RNA, the molecules that carry genetic instructions from DNA to the machinery that builds proteins. Most animals keep those instructions largely fixed. Octopuses, especially those living in colder waters, can adjust how certain genes are expressed in their nervous system by editing RNA, potentially fine-tuning how neurons function. It is not the same as changing DNA itself, but it is a way to adapt at the molecular level in real time. We still do not fully understand the purpose and limits of this ability, but it adds to the feeling that an octopus is a creature of shifting possibilities, as if it carries not one script, but many versions of itself waiting to be read. When we talk about intelligence, we often ask whether other animals have any sense of self. One famous experiment is called the mirror test. A mark is placed on an animal's body in a spot it cannot see directly. If the animal uses a mirror to investigate the mark, it suggests the animal recognizes the reflection as itself. Only a small number of species have shown strong evidence of this kind of self-recognition, including great apes, dolphins, elephants, and magpies. Some studies suggest certain fish may also show mirror-related behaviors, though interpretations are debated. The point is not that these animals think exactly like humans. The point is softer than that. Awareness may not be a single bright line that only we stand behind. It may be a gradient. It may flicker in different forms, in different bodies, in minds shaped by water, wind and long evolutionary time. And time on Earth is not gentle. Over the past roughly 500 million years, life has endured at least 5 major mass extinctions. These events erased enormous portions of species, reshaping ecosystems again and again. The Permian extinction, the most severe known, devastated marine life and transformed the planet's biological landscape. Later, an asteroid impact contributed to the extinction that ended the age of non-avian dinosaurs, clearing space for new lineages to diversify. What is astonishing is not only that extinctions happened, but that life returned. Not the same life, not a restoration, but an invention. Survivors became ancestors. Ecosystems rebuilt themselves from fragments. It is a reminder that Earth is not a static garden. It is a changing world, and life is a process, always adapting, always experimenting, always trying again. In the shadows of forests, adaptation can take on a darker elegance. There is a group of fungi called Ophiocordyceps that infects insects, including ants. In some species, the fungus can alter an ant's behavior. The ant leaves its colony, climbs vegetation, and clamps down in a fixed position. Then the fungus grows, eventually producing a stalk that releases spores, raining infection onto the forest floor below. Scientists continue to study the chemical and biological mechanisms behind this manipulation. It is a stark example of how evolution can shape relationships between organisms in ways that feel almost like stories, except these stories are written in molecules and survival, not intention. Even so, in the quiet of the woods, it is a reminder that the natural world contains both tenderness and terror, sometimes in the same breath. If you look for color in nature, one color hides a secret. Blue feels common because we see it in the sky and sea, but true blue pigments are rare. Many animals that appear blue, like blue jays or morpho butterflies, are not colored by blue dye in their tissues. Instead, their surfaces contain microscopic structures that scatter light so that blue wavelengths dominate what reaches your eyes. This is called structural coloration. It is physics shaped into biology, a kind of optical architecture. The blue you see is not paint. It is the way light bounces and interferes among tiny ridges and layers. So when you notice a flash of blue in a wing or feather, you are seeing a sculpture made of microscopic geometry, a quiet collaboration between matter and light. In the savannah, quiet collaboration becomes something like grief. Elephants are social animals with strong bonds. Observations suggest they respond to the death of companions in ways that resemble mourning. They may linger near bodies, touch bones with their trunks, and show unusual stillness. Some have been seen returning to places where remains lie, even long after death. Interpreting animal emotions is never simple because we cannot ask them directly, and human language can distort what we see, but the patterns remain striking. Elephants remember individuals and maintain long family relationships. Their behavior hints that loss is not only a human experience. In the presence of elephants, you can feel something ancient and gentle, a recognition that life is shared and that absence matters. Underwater, shared life builds cities. Coral reefs look like stone gardens, but they are made by animals. Each coral polyp is a small creature that can extend tentacles to feed on plankton. Polyps secrete calcium carbonate, forming hard skeletons that accumulate over time. Colonies grow, layer by layer, creating reef structures that shelter astonishing biodiversity. Although reefs cover a small fraction of the ocean floor, they support a large portion of marine species. Corals also live in partnership with photosynthetic algae that provide them with energy, a relationship that makes reefs possible in clear, shallow water. When seas warm too much, that partnership can break, leading to coral bleaching. Reefs are beautiful, and they are vulnerable. They are living architecture built by tiny mouths and steady chemistry, a reminder that great structures can arise from small, repeated actions. And then there is intelligence without a brain. Slime molds are organisms that can behave in surprisingly problem-solving ways, despite lacking neurons. In experiments, slime molds placed in mazes with food at 2 points will spread outward, exploring many paths, and then gradually retract, leaving behind the most efficient route between food sources. They do not plan. They respond to chemical gradients and feedback. Their bodies embody a kind of distributed decision-making. Researchers have even compared slime mold networks to human transportation systems, because both often converge on efficient patterns. It is strange and soothing to think that problem-solving can arise from simple rules, that thinking can be more like flowing than like speaking, more like reaching than like reasoning. Above slime molds, above forests, the earth itself participates in another kind of flow. The Amazon rainforest does not simply receive weather, it helps create it. Trees draw water up from the soil and release moisture through their leaves, a process called transpiration. That water vapor rises, cools, and condenses into clouds and can return as rain, feeding the forest again. This recycling of moisture can influence regional climate, helping sustain rainfall across large areas. When forests are cut or burned, that cycling weakens, and the region can become hotter and drier. It is a reminder that landscapes are not passive backdrops. They are active systems. Forests breathe water into the air. They are not only green, they are atmospheric engines, quietly making clouds from sunlight and sap. In the cold, life has its own miracles. The wood frog of North America can survive freezing. During winter, much of its body water can turn to ice. Its heart can stop. Breathing pauses, but the frog produces cryoprotectants, including glucose, that help protect cells from damage caused by ice crystals. When temperatures rise, the frog thaws and returns to activity. This is not fantasy. It is a real strategy evolved over time, a way to endure winter by becoming nearly still. Scientists study such animals because understanding how tissues survive freezing could inform medicine and preservation. But even without applications, the image itself is enough. A small frog, silent beneath leaf litter, waiting like a paused song until spring releases it. And in the ocean, sound can travel farther than you might imagine. Large whales communicate with low-frequency calls that can travel great distances underwater. Blue whale sounds, for example, can propagate across ocean basins under the right conditions. Humpback whales are famous for complex songs that change over seasons, with patterns that spread through populations like cultural traditions. We do not fully understand what all these sounds mean, but we know they are not random. They shape social interactions, mating, and navigation. In the deep, where light fades, sound becomes the long thread that connects bodies across darkness. A whale's song is a slow wave moving through water, a message carried for miles, like a lullaby written by the sea itself. Some messages are carried through time in a different way, inside a seed. Seeds can remain dormant for years, decades, sometimes far longer, waiting for the right conditions to germinate. One famous example is a date palm seed found at an archaeological site in the region of ancient Judea that was successfully germinated after roughly 2,000 years. The seed had survived shifts in climate and human history, held in stillness until water and warmth invited it back into growth. Seeds are small packages of potential, protected by coats and chemistry designed to endure. Not every seed lasts that long, of course, but the fact that some can reminds us that life has ways of waiting, of staying possible even when it is not yet expressed. Light, too, has evolved as a tool of life, again and again. Bioluminescence has appeared independently many times across the tree of life, especially in the ocean. Different organisms use different chemical systems, but many rely on molecules called luciferins and enzymes called luciferases to produce light. In deep-sea environments, bioluminescence can be used to lure prey, confuse predators, communicate with mates, or create counter-illumination, a trick that helps an animal blend with faint light from above. When you imagine the deep ocean at night, you might picture emptiness, but in reality, it can be filled with tiny lights, drifting and blinking like a slow underwater sky. And speaking of skies, there is a fact that sounds like poetry, but is grounded in physics. The elements in your body were forged in ancient stars. Hydrogen and helium were formed early in the universe, but heavier elements like carbon, oxygen, calcium, and iron are produced in stars and in stellar explosions. When massive stars end their lives, they scatter these elements into space. Over time, that enriched material becomes part of new stars, new planets, and eventually living bodies. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon in your cells, all come from that cosmic recycling. You are not separate from the universe. You are one of its patterns, a piece of stardust that learned to breathe and dream on a planet that orbits an ordinary star. Even on this planet, different creatures experience different versions of reality. Bees, for instance, can see ultraviolet light, a part of the spectrum invisible to human eyes. Many flowers have ultraviolet patterns that guide pollinators toward nectar and pollen, like runway markings we never notice. What looks like a simple yellow petal to you might look to a bee like a glowing sign, complete with bullseyes and arrows. Ultraviolet vision helps many insects navigate and find mates. It also reminds us that the world is layered. There are colors and signals around you right now that you simply do not have the biology to perceive. The garden is brighter than it seems, filled with hidden maps. In Australia, biology hides a different kind of map, one that controls time inside the body. Kangaroos can delay pregnancy through a phenomenon called embryonic diapause. If conditions are harsh, or if a mother is already caring for a young joey, the development of an embryo can pause. When conditions improve, development resumes. This allows kangaroos to time reproduction with environmental opportunity, a remarkable adaptation in landscapes where rain and food availability can be unpredictable. It is not a conscious choice the way humans think of choices, but it is still a kind of flexibility built into life. A pause button, written in hormones and tissues, a way of waiting for the world to be ready. In coral reefs, identity can shift in yet another way. Some fish can change sex. Clownfish live in groups with a social hierarchy. The largest individual is typically female. If she dies, the dominant male can change sex and become female, maintaining the group's ability to reproduce. In other species, like many wrasses, females can become males when a dominant male disappears. These transitions involve hormonal changes and restructuring of reproductive organs. It is a reminder that nature does not always treat categories as fixed. In the ocean, life can be fluid when fluidity helps survival. And still, even with all this flexibility, many animals find their way home with astonishing precision. Bird migration is one of Earth's quiet wonders. Birds travel across continents and oceans and return to familiar breeding grounds year after year. One component of this ability appears to be magnetoreception, a sensitivity to Earth's magnetic field. Some evidence suggests tiny particles of magnetite may play a role in certain species, while other research points to light-sensitive proteins in the eye that might help birds perceive magnetic information. The details are still studied and debated, but the result is real. Birds navigate by something you cannot see, an invisible geometry that wraps around the planet. Earth has a magnetic voice, and many creatures listen. This planet also has a chemical rhythm that moves through everything, including you. The carbon cycle is Earth's long breath. Carbon moves through the air as carbon dioxide, into plants through photosynthesis, into animals through food, and back into the environment through respiration and decay. Oceans absorb carbon. Rocks store it. Volcanoes release it. Over long timescales, carbon becomes part of limestone and fossil fuels, and returns again through weathering and combustion. This cycle regulates climate and supports life, and it can be tipped when carbon is released faster than natural systems can absorb it. Thinking about the carbon cycle can make Earth feel less like a stage and more like a living system, constantly exchanging matter, constantly rearranging itself, constantly balancing and rebalancing. If you want to see the deep past of life, you can find it in structures built by microbes. Stromatolites are layered formations created by microbial communities, including cyanobacteria, that trap sediments and build up mineral layers over time. Fossil stromatolites date back billions of years and represent some of the oldest evidence of life on Earth. Living stromatolites still exist in certain places, such as Shark Bay in Australia, where conditions protect them from being eaten or disturbed too much. They are quiet monuments to ancient life, built without eyes, without hands, without brains, just patient growth, layer on layer, over ages so long they feel like geology more than biology. In the water, communication can also become surprisingly personal. Dolphins produce signature whistles that function like individual identifiers. Research suggests dolphins can recognize the signature whistles of other dolphins, and they may use them to call to specific individuals. In playback studies, dolphins have responded strongly to recordings of their own signature whistles, hinting at recognition. Dolphin societies are complex and fluid, with changing alliances and long memories. In that shifting social world, a stable acoustic name can help maintain bonds. It is another reminder that language and identity have deep roots in the animal world, even if they take forms different from ours. On land, the past can hide under sand. The Sahara is a vast desert today, but evidence shows it was greener during the African humid period thousands of years ago, when changes in Earth's orbit strengthened monsoon rains. Lakes existed where there is now dry basin. Rivers flowed. Human communities lived there, leaving behind rock art that depicts animals and landscapes unlike the Sahara we know. Over time, the climate shifted again and the region dried. The desert returned. Beneath the sand are traces of that older world, a reminder that landscapes can transform dramatically, even without human influence. Earth is not fixed. It is a moving story written in wind, water, and sunlight. Even tiny brains can carry surprising ideas. Honeybees have demonstrated behaviors that suggest an understanding of numerical concepts, including distinguishing between quantities and, in some experiments, choosing an empty option as less than 1. Interpreting animal cognition requires care, but the results hint that complex problem-solving can arise in small nervous systems when it provides an advantage. Bees also communicate through dances, describing the direction and distance of food sources relative to the sun. A hive is a superorganism, many bodies acting as one, guided by chemistry, rhythm, and shared purpose. In that buzzing architecture, intelligence is not only in individuals, it is also in the network. Networks can reshape entire landscapes too, sometimes through a single predator. When wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park in the 1990s, researchers observed changes that rippled through the ecosystem. With wolves present, elk behavior and numbers shifted, which affected grazing pressure in certain areas. Vegetation recovered along some riverbanks. That created opportunities for other species, including beavers, which can alter waterways through dam building. These cascading effects are often described as trophic cascades. Nature is full of these chains, where one change sets off many others. It is a reminder that ecosystems are woven, and when a thread returns, the pattern can rearrange. Even flowers can be more responsive than we assume. Some research suggests that certain plants can respond to the vibrations or sounds associated with pollinators. The idea is not that flowers hear in the way animals do, but that they can detect mechanical vibrations and respond physiologically, for example, by altering nectar properties. Whether the effect is widespread across plant species is still studied, but the possibility itself is gentle and delightful. The world may be listening in ways we do not recognize, not with ears, but with tissues, not with thoughts, but with reactions. In gardens, in fields, in quiet places, life is always sensing. Some of the most successful sensing partnerships on Earth are not even single organisms. Lichens are collaborations. They are formed by a fungus living together with an alga or cyanobacterium. The fungus provides structure and protection, and the photosynthetic partner produces sugars from sunlight. Together they can colonize harsh environments, from bare rock to polar regions. Lichens help break down stone into soil and contribute to ecosystems in subtle foundational ways. They are not flashy, they do not chase, they simply persist. A blended life form that shows how cooperation can be an adaptation as powerful as claws or speed. In the underground dark, another mammal persists in a way that fascinates scientists. Naked mole rats live in eusocial colonies with a breeding queen, and they thrive in low oxygen environments. They also show unusual patterns of aging and cancer resistance compared to many other rodents. They can live for decades, far longer than you would expect for their size. Researchers study them for clues about cellular stability and resilience. In the dim tunnels, naked mole rats look almost comical, wrinkled and small, but their biology holds quiet surprises. Sometimes nature hides its most interesting solutions in places we do not often look. Not all small agents are friendly, but even viruses have a more complicated role than we usually give them. Viruses are often associated with illness, and for good reason. But viruses also shape ecosystems, regulate microbial populations, and influence evolution. In the ocean, viruses infect bacteria and algae, affecting food webs and nutrient cycles. In the human genome, sequences from ancient viral infections remain embedded. A significant fraction of our DNA comes from retroviral insertions in distant ancestors. Most of these sequences are inactive, but some have been repurposed by evolution and play roles in important biological processes, including aspects of reproduction. Life is not a clean story of separate kingdoms. It is messy and interwoven. Even old battles can become new tools. If you want a symbol of endurance, you can look at a shark. Shark lineages stretch back hundreds of millions of years, older than many groups of land plants. Sharks have survived multiple mass extinctions, and their basic body design has remained effective across immense timescales. Today, there are hundreds of shark species, from massive filter feeders like whale sharks to deep sea species that glow faintly in darkness. Sharks are not relics so much as survivors. Their bodies carry deep time in every movement, a reminder that some solutions in nature are so good they do not need to change much. Camouflage can become its own art. Decorator crabs attach algae, seaweed, and sometimes living sponges to their shells using specialized hooked hairs. This helps them blend into their surroundings and may also provide chemical defense if the attached organisms are unpalatable. The crab becomes a moving patch of reef, a small walking ecosystem. It is a form of disguise that is not just hiding, but collaboration. A creature wearing life as clothing, changing its appearance as the environment changes. Insects, meanwhile, do not need to disguise their dominance. The number of insects on Earth is enormous and estimates vary, but it is safe to say insects vastly outnumber humans. They occupy nearly every habitat, pollinate plants, break down waste, recycle nutrients, and form the base of many food chains. Beetles alone represent a staggering portion of known animal species. Insects build nests and societies, wage wars, farm fungi, and communicate through chemicals and dances. They are small, but they are everywhere, shaping Earth in quiet ways most people never notice. Beauty can be a strategy too. Birds of paradise perform elaborate courtship displays in the rainforests of New Guinea and nearby islands. Males transform themselves into living sculptures of feather and motion, dancing, clicking, and posing to impress females. Different species have different performances, some cleaning a stage on the forest floor, some hanging upside down, some flashing iridescent colors that shift with the light. Sexual selection can drive extraordinary traits. These displays are not excess, they are evolutionary conversations, a silent negotiation written in feathers and attention, proof that nature can be both practical and wildly extravagant. In quiet corners, another creature spins a material that engineers still admire. Spider silk is remarkably strong for its weight and also highly elastic. Different silks serve different functions, from sticky capture threads to tough drag lines. The strength and flexibility come from proteins arranged in precise structures at the microscopic level. Scientists study spider silk for potential applications in medicine and materials science, though replicating it at scale is challenging. The spider does not need a factory. It draws its miracle from its own body, laying down threads in the dark as if building geometry out of patience. At night, a different light speaks. Fireflies communicate using bioluminescent flashes. Different species have different patterns, and males and females often exchange signals during courtship. The light comes from chemical reactions in the abdomen that produce very little heat, creating an efficient glow. In some cases, the light also functions as a warning because certain fireflies contain compounds that taste bitter or are toxic to predators. The flash is both invitation and defense, a language made of light drifting through warm air like punctuation in the dark. In forests, some animals practice medicine. Observations suggest some primates, including chimpanzees, ingest certain bitter plants when ill, possibly to reduce parasite loads or infection. This behavior is often called zoopharmacognosy, animal self-medication. The plants involved can contain compounds with antibacterial or antiparasitic properties. We should be careful not to romanticize it because animal behavior is complex and motivations are hard to prove. But the pattern is compelling. In the wild, knowledge can be embodied rather than spoken. A sick animal seeks a specific leaf. A rough plant becomes a remedy. The forest in that moment becomes a pharmacy. The ocean is also a pharmacy and a factory and a lung. Phytoplankton, microscopic photosynthetic organisms, produce a large portion of the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere. Estimates vary by method and region, but it is fair to say that a significant share of the oxygen you breathe ultimately comes from ocean photosynthesis. Phytoplankton also form the base of marine food webs and play a major role in carbon cycling. They are tiny, but their collective effect shapes climate and life. When you inhale, you can imagine the ocean breathing with you, not in waves and salt, but in sunlight and cells. And some birds think ahead. Corvids, including crows and ravens, show complex problem-solving abilities. Studies suggest they can use tools, remember faces, and plan in ways that resemble future-oriented behavior, such as saving a tool for later or choosing a delayed reward. Their brains are organized differently from primate brains, but evolution has produced similar outcomes through different structures. Intelligence is not a single route. It is a landscape with many paths. Some creatures navigate that landscape using senses we do not share. Pit vipers, boas and pythons have heat-sensitive pits that detect infrared radiation. This allows them to locate warm-blooded prey even in darkness. The image is not like a photograph, but more like a map of temperature contrasts. It is physics turned into perception, a reminder that the world contains layers of information and that each species moves through a reality shaped by the senses it has. In the far north, another rhythm arrives in a hurry. The Arctic tundra spends much of the year frozen and quiet. Then summer arrives quickly with long daylight, and the landscape blooms in a brief, intense window. Plants flower, insects emerge, birds nest, mammals forage, and everything runs on urgency because time is short. It is a burst of life compressed into weeks, an explosion of color and activity that feels almost like a planet waking from a deep sleep. Then winter returns, and the tundra becomes still again. It is a reminder that life can be both patient and swift, depending on what the season demands. In the sea, patience can look like melting. Sea cucumbers can alter the stiffness of their connective tissues, becoming softer and more flexible when needed. This ability is related to something called mutable collagenous tissue. Some species can also eject internal organs as a defense and later regenerate them. It is a strange and effective strategy, a way to survive in a world of teeth and claws without having either. Softness becomes a tool, change becomes protection. In the coldest seas, blood itself becomes a kind of shield. Antarctic icefish produce antifreeze glycoproteins that help prevent ice crystals from growing in their bodies. Some icefish species also lack hemoglobin and red blood cells, and they circulate oxygen dissolved directly in their plasma, supported by cold water's high oxygen content and other cardiovascular adaptations. Their blood can appear pale. Their biology is unusual, an extreme solution for an extreme environment. Beneath Antarctic ice, life does not only endure cold, it learns to integrate cold into its design. On land, design can rise in towers of dirt. Termites build mounds that can regulate temperature and airflow through passive ventilation. Some mounds maintain relatively stable interior conditions despite large swings outside. The mound structure channels convection currents, moving warm air out and drawing cooler air in. The termites do not consult a blueprint. The architecture emerges from many simple actions repeated over time. A city built by tiny bodies, a home that breathes. Sometimes defense looks dramatic. Horned lizards can squirt blood from the area around their eyes as a defense mechanism. This blood can taste unpleasant to certain predators and can startle an attacker long enough for the lizard to escape. It sounds mythical, but it is real. Nature, when pressured, invents strategies that feel almost theatrical. Even a small reptile can turn its own body into a surprise. And long before reptiles existed, life may have begun in the deep. Hydrothermal vents on the seafloor release mineral-rich fluids. Around these vents, communities exist that do not rely on sunlight but on chemosynthesis, using chemicals like hydrogen sulfide as energy sources. Some scientists consider such environments plausible settings for early life on Earth because they provide energy gradients and rich chemistry. We cannot replay the origin of life like a film, but vents offer a compelling picture. Life beginning not in bright ponds, but in darkness, warmed by Earth's inner heat, fed by stone and chemistry. Life, once begun, learned to repair itself in extraordinary ways. Starfish can regenerate lost arms, and in some species, an arm with part of the central disc can regenerate into a whole new individual. This regeneration involves complex cellular processes and remarkable developmental plasticity. Regrowth is slow, patient, and precise. It is as if the body carries a map of itself and can redraw what has been erased. And sometimes, the body itself is an ancient compromise. The platypus is a monotreme, a mammal that lays eggs. It produces milk, but does not have nipples. Instead, milk is secreted through skin glands and collected by the young. Platypuses also have electroreception in their bills, allowing them to detect electrical signals from prey underwater. Males have venomous spurs. The platypus looks like a collage, but it is a real animal. A reminder that evolution is not an artist aiming for simplicity. It is a tinkerer, keeping what works, even if the result feels strange. At night, other animals build maps out of sound. Bats use echolocation. They emit high-frequency calls and listen for echoes returning from objects. From these echoes, they can infer distance, size, shape, and movement. Some bats can detect insects in flight with astonishing precision. The night, to a bat, is not empty. It is filled with surfaces and textures revealed by sound. Darkness becomes navigable. Space becomes audible. Back in the plant world, precision shows up again. Venus flytraps require repeated touches to trigger closure, a simple form of filtering. After closing, they produce digestive enzymes and absorb nutrients. The trap later reopens, ready again. It is a plant that measures, responds, and acts. Not with thoughts, but with thresholds and timing, which is sometimes what thinking looks like in biology when you strip away the romance. On rocky coasts, courtship can be a stone held gently in a beak. Some penguin species, including Adelie and Gentoo penguins, build nests out of pebbles. Pebbles help keep eggs elevated above wet ground. During courtship, a penguin may offer a pebble to a mate, and pairs can steal pebbles from neighbors because good stones are valuable. It is practical and oddly sweet. Love expressed in architecture, commitment shown in a small, hard gift. In the sky, rest can happen without landing. Some birds can sleep while flying, using unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, where one hemisphere of the brain rests while the other remains alert enough to control flight and monitor surroundings. This has been observed in species that spend long periods aloft, such as frigate birds. The sleep is not deep and dreamy the way human sleep can be, but it is enough to sustain them. It is a compromise between motion and rest. A reminder that nature can solve problems in ways that feel almost impossible until you learn the mechanism. Inside your head, mechanisms turn into your thoughts. The brain communicates through electrical signals and chemical neurotransmitters. Neurons fire action potentials, tiny waves of voltage change that travel along axons and cross synapses. Patterns of this activity produce perception, memory, emotion, and dreaming. Even in sleep, the brain remains active, cycling through rhythms that help consolidate learning and regulate the body. You are not powered by gears. You are powered by living electricity, a storm of tiny signals that can somehow become a sense of self. In the ocean, a living canvas drifts. Cuttlefish can change color and pattern rapidly using chromatophores, and they also use iridophores and leucophores to manipulate light. They can match backgrounds, display signals, and create moving patterns across their skin. Their camouflage can include texture changes as well, raising small bumps. Interestingly, cuttlefish are often described as colorblind, and researchers think they may rely on brightness, contrast, and polarized light to achieve their remarkable matching. The result is almost hypnotic, a creature that becomes the sea floor, then becomes a signal, then becomes a shadow. On certain nights, the moon helps coordinate an underwater snowstorm of life. Many corals participate in synchronized spawning events, releasing eggs and sperm into the water column at the same time. Timing can be influenced by temperature, day length, and lunar cycles. For a brief period, the water fills with drifting reproductive cells, increasing the odds of fertilization. It is one of the most spectacular reproductive events on Earth, and it happens quietly, without applause. beneath the surface. The moon does not only pull tides. In subtle ways, it can also cue life. In ponds and gardens, even swallowing can be unusual. Frogs often use their eyes to help push food down. When a frog swallows, it can retract its eyes into its skull, pressing down to assist the movement of prey toward the throat. It is an elegant repurposing of anatomy. No extra machinery needed, just a clever use of what already exists. Plants also communicate without voices. When attacked, some plants release volatile organic compounds into the air. Nearby plants can detect these chemicals and ramp up defenses, producing bitter compounds or strengthening tissues. The signals can vary depending on the type of damage. It is a kind of chemical messaging, a warning carried on the wind. The garden is not silent, it is full of invisible information, and sometimes what looks like many trees is actually one. Clonal colonies of quaking aspen can be enormous. Pando in Utah is a famous example, a large group of genetically identical stems connected by a shared root system. Individual trunks die and regrow, but the organism persists. Estimates of its age vary and are difficult to confirm, but it may be thousands of years old, possibly much older. It is a forest that is also a single being, a reminder that individuality in nature can be more complicated than we assume. Beneath those roots, smaller engineers work. Earthworms tunnel through soil, aerating it and helping water and nutrients move. They consume organic matter and produce castings rich in nutrients, improving soil structure and fertility. Their quiet labor supports plant growth and agriculture. They are not glamorous, but they are foundational. The ground beneath you is not just dirt, it is a living system shaped by countless small bodies moving through dark spaces. In open landscapes, even sleep is shaped by survival. Giraffes sleep very little compared to many mammals, often in short bouts. They can rest standing and may lie down for brief periods, but vulnerability to predators likely favors shorter and lighter sleep patterns. It is a reminder that biology balances needs. Rest is essential, but so is staying alive. In nature, even sleep is negotiated, and in the modern world, life has begun adapting to the materials we leave behind. Certain bacteria can break down components of plastics like polyethylene terephthalate using enzymes such as PTase to degrade the polymer into smaller molecules. This process is not fast enough to solve plastic pollution on its own, but it offers insight into potential biotechnological solutions. It also shows how quickly microbes can adapt to new niches. Even in our mess, life explores. It tests what can be eaten, what can be used, what can become part of the cycle again. In the far north, change can be written on fur. Arctic foxes shift coat color with seasons, from white in winter to darker shades in summer, helping camouflage across snow and tundra. Their fur is dense, insulating them against severe cold. They can survive temperatures that would be dangerous for many mammals. In them, adaptation is visible. The body becomes the season. And beneath the surface of the sea, adaptation becomes almost alien. The deep ocean is cold, dark, and under crushing pressure, yet it is full of life. There are fish with bioluminescent lures, translucent creatures, animals with enormous mouths, and species that live near vents using chemosynthetic bacteria. We have explored only a fraction of the deep sea, and new species are still being described. The planet's largest habitat by volume is underwater, and much of it remains mysterious. There is an entire world below the world we know, quiet, strange, and waiting. On land, cleverness can take flight. Some birds use tools. New Caledonian crows are known for shaping sticks and leaves to extract insects. Egyptian vultures have been observed using stones to crack eggs. In the Galapagos, woodpecker finches can use twigs to pry out larvae. Tool use is not exclusive to hands. It emerges wherever problem-solving offers an advantage. Intelligence, again, finds multiple routes. In deserts, endurance becomes an art of water. Camels can go long periods without drinking, and when they do drink, they can consume large volumes quickly. They do not store water in their humps, but fat. Their bodies are adapted to conserve water through efficient kidneys, dry waste, and tolerance of body temperature fluctuations that reduce sweating. Their red blood cells have shapes that help them function during dehydration. In the desert, the camel does not fight scarcity. It is built for it. Even before birth, communication can begin. Chicks in eggs can vocalize, and mother hens can respond. There is evidence that embryos can synchronize hatching through sound and movement. The egg is not a silent chamber. It is a small world with signals, preparation, and gentle rehearsal. In winter, some insects do something similar to frogs and ice fish. They wait in chemistry. Some insects produce cryoprotectants like glycerol that reduce ice formation in tissues. Some can survive freezing or near-freezing states by controlling where ice forms and protecting cells from damage. Life, again and again, finds ways to slow itself down and return. Polar bears carry another quiet trick under their famous white appearance. Polar bear skin is black, which can help absorb heat, while their fur appears white but is made of translucent hairs that scatter light. The fur also traps air for insulation. They are engineered for cold in layers, with adaptations for swimming and walking on ice. Their look is iconic, but their biology is practical, tuned to harsh conditions. And you too have secrets you cannot see. Human bodies emit ultra-weak photons, a faint glow produced by biochemical reactions related to metabolism and oxidative processes. This emission is far too dim for human eyes, but sensitive instruments can detect it. The glow can vary over the day. It is not like a firefly. It is subtler than that, but it is real. Even in stillness, your cells are active. Even in darkness, your body is not entirely dark. Along shorelines, boundaries blur. Mud skippers can spend time out of water, using fins to move on land and breathing through moist skin and the lining of the mouth. Some fish can tolerate low oxygen conditions and traverse short distances when environments change. These amphibious behaviors echo ancient evolutionary transitions, reminding us that the line between sea and land has always been negotiable. During floods, small bodies become lifeboats. Fire ants can form floating rafts by linking together, trapping air and creating buoyant structures that carry the colony. The raft can persist and adjust as water moves. No single ant commands it. The behavior emerges from simple rules and cooperation. Survival becomes architecture, and inside a single drop of seawater, there can be an entire drifting city. Seawater can contain vast numbers of microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, and tiny planktonic life stages. These microscopic communities drive nutrient cycles and support food webs. It is humbling to remember that scale is not the same as significance. Small does not mean unimportant. Often, small means foundational. In extreme places, life does not just survive, it specializes. Extremophiles thrive in hot springs, acidic pools, and other conditions that would be lethal for most organisms. Some rely on chemosynthesis, using sulfur or iron compounds as energy sources. These microbes offer clues about early Earth and about the potential for life in similar environments beyond our planet. Their existence is a quiet statement. Where there is energy and chemistry, life may try. Plants, meanwhile, do something that sounds like mathematics. snacks. Some studies suggest plants regulate starch consumption at night in a way consistent with dividing stored energy by time until dawn, adjusting usage so they do not run out too early. The process is biochemical, not conscious, but it is precise. A leaf in darkness makes a plan, not with numbers, but with molecules, not with awareness, but with regulation. It is a gentle reminder that intelligence can exist as balance, as timing, as quiet control. And in the night sky, one bird moves like a whisper. Owls fly silently, thanks to feather structures that reduce turbulence and muffle sound. Soft fringes on flight feathers and velvety surfaces help dampen noise. This silence allows owls to hunt by hearing, detecting faint movements of prey. The owl does not announce itself, it arrives like a shadow. In nature, silence can be a weapon, but it can also be a kind of beauty. In still water, regeneration becomes a story without end. Planarian flatworms can regenerate entire bodies from small fragments due to populations of stem cells called neoblasts, which can differentiate into many cell types. Scientists study them to understand regeneration and pattern formation. The image is simple and startling, a body divided and then made whole again, life refusing to remain broken. In cities, another bird carries quiet intelligence. Pigeons can recognize individual human faces in experiments and can learn complex visual categorization tasks. They are often overlooked, but their brains are capable of memory and discrimination that can surprise us. Ordinary animals often have extraordinary abilities. We just do not always think to ask. Beneath a forest in Oregon, the largest living organism by area may not be a tree at all. A fungus, often identified as Armillaria ostoyae, can spread across large expanses through underground networks. What you see above ground, the mushrooms, are only temporary fruiting bodies. The organism itself is the mycelium, living in the soil, interacting with roots, expanding slowly. It is a reminder that much of life is hidden. The biggest things are not always the tallest. Sometimes they are the quietest, spread thinly through darkness, patiently occupying space. Bees, too, have another surprise. They can learn socially. Experiments have shown that bees can learn certain tasks by observing other bees, suggesting that not all their behavior is purely instinct. Knowledge can spread through a group without language, carried by attention and imitation. A tiny animal once vanished and then returned from the edge of extinction. In the forests of China, a deer-like creature called the Pear David's deer disappeared from the wild, surviving only in captivity for a time. Through careful breeding and reintroduction programs, populations were restored and the species returned to protected habitats. It is a modern reminder that conservation can sometimes reverse a story that seems finished. Not every loss can be undone, but some can be softened by patience and long planning. Even in a world that changes fast, life can be guided back toward a safer path. And that idea leads gently to another truth, that survival is often written in relationships, not in strength alone. Some corals build partnerships that feed entire seas. Many reef-building corals rely on symbiotic algae living inside their tissues. These algae capture sunlight and share energy with the coral, helping it grow and build skeletons faster. In return, the coral provides shelter and nutrients. It is a quiet trade, a living agreement that turns sunlight into reefs and reefs into habitat for thousands of other species. When conditions become too hot, this partnership can break and reefs can bleach. The story is delicate, and it reminds us that stability matters for beauty to endure. And once you think about symbiosis, it becomes easier to notice it everywhere. Some trees host entire worlds on their skin. In cloud forests and rainy jungles, branches can be covered in epiphytes, plants like orchids, bromeliads, and mosses that live on other plants without taking their nutrients. They collect water from mist and rain, trapping pockets of moisture and creating miniature wetlands high in the canopy. Tiny frogs may lay eggs there. Insects may live their whole lives in those small pools. A single branch becomes a layered ecosystem, a garden floating in air. And in that floating garden, the idea of a home becomes surprisingly flexible. Some animals carry their homes with them in spirals. Snails build shells from calcium carbonate, adding material as they grow. The shell is not only armor, but also a record of time, a structure built slowly, layer by layer, like a diary written in minerals. Different species shape their shells differently, creating patterns that can be smooth, ridged, tall, or wide. The geometry is not decorative. It is survival expressed as architecture. And when you imagine a home that grows with you, you might begin to see other living structures as homes in progress too. A reef can be shaped by a fish that behaves like a gardener. Parrotfish graze on algae that can otherwise overwhelm corals, and as they feed, they grind bits of coral and rock, producing fine sand. In some tropical places, the sand on beaches owes part of its existence to generations of parrotfish meals. Their feeding helps keep reefs balanced, supporting coral health while quietly building shorelines grain by grain. It is a soothing thought that a bright fish in the sea can help maintain both reef and beach without ever knowing it, and it leads naturally to another kind of quiet builder beneath the waves. Kelp forests move like slow underwater forests. Large brown algae called kelp can grow quickly in cold, nutrient-rich waters, forming towering underwater canopies. These kelp forests provide shelter and food for fish, sea otters, and countless invertebrates. They also soften waves, protect coastlines, and draw carbon dioxide from the water as they grow. When you imagine kelp swaying in currents, it feels like a breath you can see. And once you picture forests underwater, the boundary between land and sea begins to blur. Sea otters hold hands while they sleep. In coastal waters, sea otters often float on their backs, wrapping themselves in kelp or holding paws with other otters. This helps prevent them from drifting apart in currents, keeping families together through the night. It is a small, tender behavior with a practical purpose. Warmth and safety can be social, not solitary, and it gently points toward another kind of social survival, one that happens in the coldest places on Earth. Penguins keep eggs warm with bare skin. Some penguins, like emperor penguins, balance eggs on their feet and cover them with a fold of skin called a brood pouch. This keeps the egg off the ice and near warmth. In brutal winds, adults take turns fasting, standing, and protecting. The image is simple. A quiet circle of bodies against the cold, but it carries a deep lesson about endurance through cooperation. And from cooperation, our attention drifts naturally to another shared rhythm, this time in the sky. The atmosphere has rivers you cannot see. High above, narrow bands of fast-moving air called atmospheric rivers carry huge amounts of water vapor across oceans. When they reach land and rise over mountains, they can release heavy rain or snow. These invisible flows help shape weather and water supplies in many regions. The sky is not empty. It is full of moving currents, like ocean currents made of air. And once you think of water moving through the sky, you start to notice water's quieter movements through stone. Some caves grow slowly, like stone gardens. Stalactites and stalagmites form when mineral-rich water drips through limestone caves. Over long periods, dissolved calcium carbonate is deposited, building spires and curtains millimeter by millimeter. In a cave, time becomes visible, stretched out into shapes you can touch. It is geology moving at a sleepy pace, patient enough to feel like silence. And it leads us to another way Earth records time, not in stone, but in ice. Ice cores hold ancient air like a memory. In polar ice sheets, each snowfall compresses into layers, trapping tiny bubbles of air. Scientists drill ice cores and analyze these bubbles to learn about past atmospheres and climates, sometimes stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. It is as if the planet kept samples of its own breath, sealed and stored in cold darkness. Earth remembers, and that remembering continues in living bodies too, where time is stored not as air, but as rings. Trees carry calendars inside their trunks. In many climates, trees form annual growth rings with patterns that reflect seasons of plenty or stress. Drought years can leave narrow rings. Wet years can leave wider ones. Fire scars can mark old injuries. A tree does not need to speak to tell its story. It holds its history in wood. And if trees hold time, it makes sense that other organisms might also hold time in unexpected places, like the ocean itself. The ocean has sound channels that carry calls far away. In certain layers of the ocean, temperature and pressure create conditions where sound travels efficiently over long distances. This is sometimes called the deep sound channel. It helps explain how some whale calls can propagate across vast areas. The sea is not only water, it is also a medium for messages, shaped by physics into a quiet highway of sound. And where sound travels, listening becomes a kind of navigation. Some turtles find home using a magnetic map. Sea turtles can migrate across oceans and later return to nest near the beaches where they hatched. Research suggests they can detect features of Earth's magnetic field, using it like a map with regional signatures. The field changes slowly over time, and turtles may adjust their routes as the planet's magnetic pattern shifts. It is a gentle image, a turtle carrying an invisible atlas inside its body, and it reminds us that many journeys on Earth are guided by signals we never notice. Salmon return with astonishing precision. Salmon hatch in freshwater streams, migrate to the ocean, and then return, often to the same region to spawn. Smell plays a major role, as salmon imprint on chemical cues from their home waters. Some studies also suggest magnetic cues may contribute to long-distance orientation in the ocean. The return journey is difficult, but it continues generation after generation. A cycle of departure and homecoming that feels like a natural lullaby. And it leads us to another cycle, smaller but just as steady. The moon slows Earth's spin, very slowly. Tides are caused largely by the gravitational pull of the moon. And as tides move, they dissipate energy as heat. Over long time scales, this transfers angular momentum, causing Earth's rotation to slow gradually while the moon moves slightly farther away. It is not something you can feel, but it is happening, a quiet reshaping of time itself. Even the length of a day is not fixed forever, and from cosmic rhythm, our attention drifts back down to something small and close, like a stone in a river. Rivers can sing stones into smoothness. Water carries sand and gravel that grind against rocks, shaping riverbeds over time. Pebbles become rounded, edges soften, and even hard stones change under persistent flow. It is a reminder that pressure does not always need force. Sometimes it needs time. And once you think about persistent flow, you might wonder how life persists in places where flow seems impossible, like deserts. Desert plants drink fog. In some coastal deserts, where rainfall is rare, plants and insects survive by harvesting moisture from fog. Certain plants have surfaces that capture tiny droplets, funneling water toward roots. Some beetles in fog deserts can angle their bodies to collect condensation on textured shells. Water appears out of air, gathered patiently from mist. Survival becomes an art of noticing, and that art shows up again in another dry place, in the skin of a plant that saves water by opening at night. Some plants open pores at night to conserve water. Many succulents and desert-adapted plants use a photosynthesis strategy called crassulacean acid metabolism, often shortened to CAM. They open their stomata at night when air is cooler and humidity is higher, taking in carbon dioxide with less water loss. During the day, they use stored carbon dioxide to make sugars while keeping stomata closed. It is a slow, careful strategy, like breathing quietly while the world sleeps. And it brings us to another kind of quiet breathing, this time in the soil. Soil is alive with an underground crowd. A teaspoon of healthy soil can contain billions of microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, and protozoa. Many of these microbes help plants by cycling nutrients, breaking down organic matter, or forming partnerships with roots. Soil is not just ground. It is a living interface between rock and life, a place where death becomes fertility and where growth is negotiated molecule by molecule. And that negotiation can sometimes create something surprisingly visible, like a rainbow in stone. Some rocks are painted by chemistry. Minerals can create vivid colors in rock layers, from iron oxides producing reds and yellows to copper minerals producing greens and blues. In some landscapes, striped hills and multicolored canyons appear like slow brushstrokes, except the painter is water and chemistry over time. Earth makes art without intention, guided by physics and erosion. And the idea of color brings us back to living color again, to creatures that shimmer without pigments. Butterfly wings use structure to create color. Many butterflies, including morphospecies, produce brilliant blues through microscopic structures that scatter light. The color changes with angle, creating an iridescent effect that seems to move as the insect moves. It is a physical trick, not a dye. Light becomes part of the body, and once you think about light and bodies, you might wonder how bodies handle light when it becomes dangerous. Some animals repair DNA after radiation. Certain organisms, including some bacteria like Deinococcus radiodurans, can survive intense radiation by efficiently repairing DNA damage. These microbes have mechanisms that rebuild shattered genetic material, stitching it back together. Their resilience is not invincibility, but remarkable repair. Life does not always avoid damage. Sometimes it survives by fixing it. And that idea of repair leads naturally to one of the gentlest repairers we often overlook, growing on fallen logs. Fungi recycle forests into soil. When trees fall, fungi break down tough materials like cellulose and lignin, returning nutrients to the ecosystem. Without decomposers, forests would become locked in their own dead matter. Fungi are the quiet recyclers, turning endings into beginnings. They also form the mycorrhizal partnerships that link roots, making them both destroyers and connectors, both endings and networks. And networks appear again in a different place, inside the ocean as drifting clouds. Marine snow falls like slow underwater weather. In the deep ocean, tiny particles of dead plankton, fecal pellets, and organic debris drift downward in a constant shower known as marine snow. This slow fall feeds deep sea communities that live far from sunlight. The deep sea is not only fed by vents, it is also fed by this gentle rain of leftovers, a reminder that even in darkness, nourishment can arrive quietly from above. And from deep ocean rain, we drift to deep ocean light again. Some deep sea fish make their own lanterns with bacteria. In certain species, bioluminescence comes from symbiotic bacteria housed in special light organs. The fish provides a home and nutrients, and the bacteria provide light. It is cooperation in darkness, a shared glow that can attract prey or confuse predators. Even in the deepest night, life finds a way to create a lamp, and it makes you think about lamps on land too, like the moon on snow. Snow is full of hidden structure. A snowflake begins as a tiny ice crystal forming around a small particle in the air. As it falls, water vapor deposits onto it, and its shape grows according to temperature and humidity. The famous six-sided symmetry comes from the geometry of water molecules, but each snowflake's path through the atmosphere is unique. Snow is frozen weather made visible, a soft record of air. And once you see weather as a record, you might notice another record in the ocean that rises and falls like breathing. Tides are slow waves that move entire seas. The moon and sun pull on Earth's oceans, creating bulges that move as the planet rotates. Tides reshape coastlines, feed wetlands, and expose tide pools, which become nurseries for small marine life. Many organisms time feeding and reproduction to tidal cycles. The ocean's edge is a clock, and life reads it. And when life reads clocks, sometimes it becomes more synchronized than we expect. Some insects emerge together in perfect timing. Periodical cicadas in North America spend most of their lives underground, then emerge in huge numbers after 13 or 17 years, depending on species. The emergence overwhelms predators by sheer volume, ensuring enough cicadas survive to reproduce. It is a strategy built from patience and math-like timing, a pulse of life that appears like a sudden chorus and then fades again. And that chorus brings us back to sound, to the way Earth itself can hum. Earth has a faint natural electromagnetic song. Lightning strikes around the world produce low-frequency electromagnetic waves that can resonate in the space between Earth's surface and the ionosphere. These are called Schumann resonances. They are not a sound you hear with ears, but they are real oscillations, a kind of planetary background rhythm. It is a subtle reminder that Earth is not quiet in the physical sense. It is full of gentle frequencies. And from planetary frequencies, our attention settles again into the smallest frequencies of life, like hearts. Some animals can slow their hearts dramatically. Hibernating mammals can reduce heart rate and metabolism to conserve energy during winter. Bears, for example, enter a state where metabolic demands drop, though their hibernation is not as deep as some smaller mammals. Other animals, like ground squirrels, can lower body temperature and heart rate to extremes. Rest becomes a survival strategy, not just a comfort. And it echoes something you are doing right now, letting your own body slow down. There are lakes that turn over like a sleeping breath. In many temperate lakes, seasonal temperature changes cause the water column to mix in spring and autumn, a process called turnover. Oxygen and nutrients redistribute, supporting aquatic ecosystems. In summer, warmer water stays near the top. In winter, colder water can form layers, sometimes with ice above. Then, as seasons shift, the lake stirs itself gently, renewing conditions below. A lake can be layered like a thought and then rearranged when the time is right. And that rearranging brings us back to one last quiet truth about Earth. The planet is always changing, but it changes softly most of the time. Mountains rise through tectonic forces and erode back down through wind and rain. Coastlines shift, rivers carve new paths, forests migrate with climate, ice advances and retreats. Even the continents themselves move, only centimeters a year, but enough to remake oceans across long time. Earth is not a still place. It is a slow-moving story. And in that slow story, life keeps finding ways to belong, to adapt, to glow, to sleep, and to begin again. In water, sleep can be partial. Some marine mammals, like dolphins, exhibit unihemispheric sleep, resting one hemisphere of the brain at a time while maintaining breathing and awareness. Certain fish and sharks show sleep behaviors that suggest vigilance and rest can overlap. Underwater, where breathing and danger are constant, sleep can become a balance rather than a full surrender. And even in reptiles, color can be conversation. Chameleons change color in response to mood, temperature, and social signals, not just camouflage. Their color shifts often involve structural changes in skin cells that affect how light is reflected. Color becomes emotion made visible, a message written on the body. All around, Earth's magnetic field continues its quiet work. Sea turtles appear to use magnetic cues to navigate across oceans. Salmon return to natal streams guided by a mix of scent and environmental cues, possibly including magnetic information. Even some bacteria align with magnetic fields. The planet is wrapped in invisible lines, and life uses them as guideposts. And so, after drifting through forests and oceans, through microbes and mammals, through light and darkness, one gentle truth begins to settle. Life is extraordinary, not because it is perfect, but because it persists. It adapts, it cooperates, it invents, it waits, it begins again. And now, as these last images soften and fade, you can let your mind rest even more. Somewhere, deep in the sea, a small creature is flashing a signal in the dark. Somewhere, a fungus is weaving through soil, patient as time. Somewhere, a bird is riding the wind with half its brain asleep. Somewhere, a plant is releasing a warning into the air, and another plant is quietly listening. And somewhere, right where you are, your body is doing what it has always done: breathing, repairing, balancing, glowing faintly with the chemistry of being alive. You are not separate from this world. You are part of it, made of the same elements as oceans and stars, built from the same ancient experiments that learned to survive ice, to thrive in heat, to navigate by magnetism, to share nutrients through roots, to turn sunlight into sugar, to turn darkness into light. If your thoughts want to wander, let them wander. If they want to slow down, let them slow. You do not need to hold on to every detail. Let the facts become atmosphere. Let the wonder become weightless. The story of Earth does not end here. It simply pauses like a tide between waves until curiosity returns. Sleep well, and thank you for spending this quiet time with me.